All right, Htp family, you're welcome to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective on KWAZ Radio. Today, you're tuning in to the Sunday African Warship. This is September 2020. This is week 4. So, as you know, for week 4, we're gonna go over some Zuberi quotes. Although, you know, if you have any questions or if you have any concerns, you could just jump in. You know, we don't really have to go over the literature. You know. But let's go. We're gonna just jump in. I mean, let's see if anybody's in the Discord. I'm gonna just check the Discord. Remember, the link to the Discord is in the description. Anybody could jump in. So we have right here, we have brother Show. Show, what's good? Oh, let me turn up this volume. Let me make sure people can hear you. I'm gonna turn up the volume to everything. Bro said Ashay Hotep. And so yeah, we're just gonna jump into it. I'll ask you some questions. While we rolling, anybody could jump in. While we rolling, we're gonna stop by. So I'm gonna say this. Okay, so this is about Zuberi. Zuberi is a book I wrote a while back. I'm going to see if I can't remember where we left off. So I'm gonna try to make it a case. Let's see, 77 divided by. All right. So I'll try to go to page 34 maybe, and then just go from there. Actually, right here. Let's start right here. This guy says, "My first duty is to my race." Right? That's really how we should principally be. I think it kind of brings into the question of like on the Discord we were having a conversation on black capitalism, and the question being, the question that would really come through is to what extent would black capitalism be a duty, like be loyal to one's race? How can somebody be loyal to one's race through capitalism is the question. And I don't know, Show, you might have an interesting perspective on that. What can you say about that?
Well, I think you could, but I think honestly it just depends on what we're saying by capitalism. And the reason I say that is just because people say that word, but so when you talk about capitalism, that is a European system. It was created from Europe. The ideology that describes capitalism came from Europeans. So when you talk about capitalism, you have to talk about it in the sense that it grew up out of theories coming from Europe. If we're not grounded in that reality, then I feel like we're just talking. So in that sense, you have to ask, well, can you really have black capitalism? And isn't capitalism just a racial ideology in one sense? So I think that in a sense of black capitalism, I think you could benefit your nations and your people, because capitalism is just using capital to exploit the resources, labor, whatever in the nation. So if you're a black capitalist, and you're putting power lines everywhere, I think that benefits your people. So, you feel me?
Yeah, I feel you. Look, my thing is this too. Like, if you're being honest, if the white man could benefit his people from capitalism, you can't. What's that about?
Exactly.
Like if we can't say that the capitalism did not benefit white folk. There are some white folk who say otherwise, and they safe houses. They in their mansions or they in their houses with their TVs and they whatever. And it's like, yeah, you might say, I'm not into consumerism and materialism. You might say that. But, chances are you are if you're there in the West. You know what I'm saying? like if you're not into that consumerism or you're not into that materialism, then why are you in the Western world? And why are you participating on Western materialist mediums? Because there are places where you don't participate in that stuff. Like, you go to my folk, the Maroons and whatever. You go to the rural areas, they might not be participating in that stuff, right? And that's all well and good. But if the majority of Africans are, or a lot of the Africans are, it behooves us to say that, and particularly if you look at the Western world, it behooves us to say that what the West has, we absolutely don't want, and it's like, particularly in terms of how the West itself benefits from it. It's a little complicated because I know people don't want to hear that kind of rhetoric, but and I'm not saying that like honestly, if I were to break it down, I would say the trouble with capitalism is the exploitation aspect to it, or the hyper exploitation. You know,
Right.
but if you as Africans do not practice that same level of exploitation, then the trouble is not there. If you have well-meaning Africans running industries in Africa, that is better than not having any industries. You know,
Right.
and it could suffice. It could accommodate a larger population. The thing that we fail to recall is that what industrialization offers is a lot more productivity than like pre-industrial economics in a sense.
Society.
Yeah, pre-industrial society is that you cannot produce like 1,000 computers in the same time frame if you're doing it by hand. Like as a machine can.
Yeah.
Like machines can outpace man. Period. That's the story inside of America. There's this it might be a fake story, but there's a story of this guy named John Henry. And he's trying to race against a whole like machine in terms of who could build railroads quicker. And I mean, allegedly he's like a giant man. I mean, I don't know how true the story is, but he's like a giant man, and him and this machine are going, are working against each other, and the white boy in the machine just got to sit down and press a button, press a few buttons, whereas John Henry gotta, like when you put it in the rail tracks, you gotta like put down the spike and hammer it down, and put down the spike and hammer it down. And allegedly he's doing this all through the night, even going through walls, like throwing through like the side of cliffs and all that kind of stuff, right, in order to lay down these tracks. And at the end of the story, allegedly he does beat out the machine, okay? But he dies. Like you know what I'm saying? Like there's no, yeah, okay, like you have to be like a superhuman, and even if you're a superhuman, you're gonna die. Like there's no way you could outperform a whole ass machine. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, I don't know how true the story is, because it sounds a little ridiculous that a man would just keep doing it until he dies. But that's the reality. Like industrialization and all that. That's the reality. And when it comes to because I see people throw around the word like private and public and all that. But when it comes to capitalism, private enterprise just means that a handful of individuals are going to be involved in this industrialization process, as opposed to the state. Because at the end of the day, it becomes like there's certain machinery that only certain individuals can afford. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the other day, I had to. I was considering cutting down a tree or something, right? And I would have to either I was thinking about buying a saw. Saws are not that expensive, but if it were a whole forest that I had to cut down, if it were the case, right? Then either buy a saw or rent a saw or hire some people who have saws. Yeah. Like those are your options.
Yeah.
The reality is that if I were to, like in order to cut down a bunch of trees, it would cost a lot for an individual. So, but not with certain individuals. Certain individuals may have that, but that's the whole thing that's the difference between capitalism and socialism at the end of the day. Whether the state is going to do it or whether it's certain individuals who have wealth. Now, how they have wealth is a whole other question. And like I said, in the West, they might be exploiters. That's what you would expect from the West. I don't look at white people as I don't look at white people as anything but exploiters. And like that's what you have to start to do. But anyway, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're going with it. I was just gonna say that if we're gonna be using words like capitalism, socialism, we have to really understand the history of where it was defined. So, if you read any Marx, any Lenin, any Stalin, they all use capitalism to achieve socialism, or their perceived socialism. In fact, Marx said that socialism/communism can only be achieved through capitalism. Essentially, what he's saying is you can't have a post-capitalist state without capitalism. That's very telling in that he's telling you that you can't get socialism without using the production abilities of a capitalist society, right? So this is the founder of capitalist critique, capitalist, anti-capitalist ideology, and we're not even listening to really what he's saying, you know? And that's just my critique. It's just, okay, so you got a problem with capitalism. That's fine, I do too. But again, are you going to refine the oil? How do you propose to refine enough oil for 200 million people? You feel me? Like, how? How do you do that? I keep hearing African motor production. You have not explained how the AMP is going to refine enough oil for 200 million people. I'm not saying they can't do that. I'm just saying you just have to explain it. But when you ask people to explain things, you know, that's when you get problems. Like, can you explain what you mean? People can't explain it. And I'm just like, well, you haven't really thought about it.
Exactly. You know, that's the thing. It's like, we have to understand that these sort of economic models are particular. Like, they're talking about post-industrial economic models or industrial economic models. Capitalism and socialism are industrial economic models. If you're talking about pre-industrialization, you know, you're talking about a whole different society, and you're talking about a whole different capability. The question, pre-industrial, you might have had Africans, you know, mining, you know, the traditional way, and all, you know, and doing farming, agriculture the traditional way. And that's all well and good, but the question becomes, how can you go through a population explosion? How can you keep all of your people fed, clothed, and sheltered, you know, without, you know, megalithic, without megalithic urbanization, if you will, right? And if you're going to go through that megalithic urbanization, you know, the bigger compounds, the so on and so forth, then you're going to have to go through this industrialization. And if you're going through this industrialization, right, then you're talking about a whole different economic system. You know, you can go back to the pre-industrial economic system. The only issue is that you may not be able to support a large population. And if you're not supporting a large population in this day and age, you will get colonized again.
Right.
You know what I mean? You will. You know, yeah, because the thing is this, that, you know, sometimes people will talk about the Twa, you know, the Twa. So the Twa and the, like, allegedly, I mean, I'm going to just use these terms. Everybody knows what these terms means. But we're going to say, like, the Bantu and the Twa, right? So the Bantu would be, you know, apparently they were more agrarian Africans, right? And the Twa might have been more, you know, they're considered the shorter variants of African people. But they are, like, let's say they're more hunter-gatherer, in a sense, right? The reality is that whether you were agricultural, hunter-gatherer, or a nomadic pastoralist, right? These three economic systems, the agricultural one, right, the one that the Bantu had, was just able to support a larger population, you know? And so what you would have is that when you're an agriculturalist and you're growing in population, your population is going to naturally expand towards not just the hunter-gatherer zone of influence, which would be like forest land, right? Or the pastoralist, which might be, you know, grassland, right? You're looking for more fertile land because you're an agriculturalist. So you're going to expand into the forest. You know, start cutting down forests and then decimating that traditional Twa, you know, let's say lifestyle. The same as you might start going into the pastoralist land where they might have these animals grazing and so on and so forth. That's going to create automatic conflict. But when you are the agriculturalist and you're dealing with, you know, making weaponry, and you're dealing with, you know, a larger population, you're going to win on that conflict. But the same with industrialization. You know, industrialization now can do agriculture even to a better extreme than the agriculturalists, right? So then their population explodes. And now with their population, and they're able to make machinery and weaponry and all that stuff, now they can impede on not just the agriculturalists, the pastoralists, and the hunter-gatherer, right? what that then does is that this industrialist, no matter what, regardless, is going to expand into the traditional African territories. Now, we can protect the traditional African territories and the traditional African economies. We can do that, through our own governmental policies if we were in charge of government. But at the end of the day, right? In order to protect against the enemy, you have to industrialize. And in that industrialization, yes, you might have to get into these economic models that are more advanced than whatever economic models preceded it, because the economic models that preceded these economic models were destroyed. And that's just the natural thing of humanity, is that certain, like I said, our ancestors, who, let's say a lot of them were Bantu, did in fact go and destroy and essentially go into the economies of other people, and a lot of conflict in Africa was based around this conflict, this clash between economic models, and it's no different today.
Yeah, and I agree. And ultimately, what I'm saying is that, and what you're saying is that there is a consistent theme of change always coming about. So, using the so-called capitalist mode of production doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way. We can already see that now. Like the so-called European is producing so much he can't sell. That is an inherent flaw in that system, and eventually it will cause its collapse. But what I'm explaining is that when that system collapses, they'll still have the things they use to produce everything. They'll just have a different economic system. We won't have that unless we acquire those same production capabilities. So the point is that whether or not you have a socialist, whatever economic system, you still need the highly advanced manufacturing capability, or you will die. That's it.
Anyway, so we're going to read the next one. So the one that says, family derives its strength from race. There are no strong families in a weak race. I am strong because we are strong. So this is a little bit of a difference, but the idea is that if you're trying to have a strong family, what do you say?
No, I said nothing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the reality is that the strength of our families comes from the strength of our race. And so we need to strengthen our race. But again, there's different philosophies of whether you strengthen something from the top down or the bottom up. And a lot of us really believe in this bottom up ideology, right? But again, like going back to the principle in the system, the question is, who can put up industries? Like you say, who can put up industries? If we're talking about the strength of a race, and if we measure the strength of a race by its industries, right? Who can put up industries if we were to go around and crowdfund for it, right? How exactly would that work? You know what I'm saying? Like how would that work? Like what is the alternative towards, certain individuals getting together, and building those industries and working their way through in this industrial battlefield? Like, what's the alternative to that? If it's not the government and it's not private individuals, how do you expect just you go into a bar and all of them are in fact industrialists? Is that the expectation? You know what I mean? Like, is that the expectation? Like what is the model for industrialization that we want to use, if not this private individual and if not the state? How do you go about with it?
These people can't tell you, man. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
You. They can't explain it. And that's the biggest flaw. I can explain how you can use advanced manufacturing to produce wealth for everyone and not exploit people. It just takes you have to use cultural, you have to use culture, you have to have a different government system, economic system. We can do that. But again, you have to be able to explain it. You can't, if you're saying that a certain project being developed is being, is capitalist and one person owns and controls it. But I'm saying if they're laying 5 billion miles of road and they're black, I mean, what can you say against that? You're not putting roads down. You haven't even organized people that can put a road down, right? And that's my problem, is that when we say, we have to be able to provide alternatives. But if your alternative is just shouting out an economic system and you can't articulate how it's going to build a road, then we have a problem.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Let me see if he said after you start. Yo, this dude, man. Anyway, all right, let's go. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. To the race, one must be true. Only in this way is one true to family. So, at the end of the day, if you want to be about your family, you have to be about your race. And unfortunately, and I mean, I think that really, I mean, it's a little unrelated, I guess, but the reality is that, when we discuss this whole idea of the industrialization of Africa, if you will, right? We have to put that formal, and I think it goes back to what you're saying in the sense of, look, we would love for a Pan-Africanist to be the industrialist in Africa, right? But if the Pan-Africanists are busy sitting down and critiquing, the industrialists in Africa, then they're not doing enough. And that's all it is. Like when we look at these examples of the Africans industrializing Africa, we're seeing the potential for us in the same field. We're not necessarily seeing like them. We're not necessarily saying, oh, that's the. We're more saying, look, we can do this, and we can get it done, and it's up to us. And the more and even though. And I mean, like at the end of the day, like this is what is going on. This is what's going to happen. You're going to have other people working in the same field as you, and unfortunately, that's good and bad. But it's better than these white boys. You know what I mean? It's better than these white boys. That's at the end of the day. It's better than these white boys. Because without it, like we saw a map on a Discord where these it's like the rail tracks. You can either have no rail tracks or whatever, or you can have a bunch, and the way how you'll have a bunch is if we as African people get together and lay the tracks ourselves, because no one else is going to do it for us, and that's really what this is all about. Who's going to act on behalf of our race? Who is going to act on behalf of our race? Anyway, I'm surprised these. Let me see why these. Let me call out these brothers and see why they not showing up. I mean, before we strong man. Hold on a second. I'm gonna type this up. So we live talking about y'all industrialization. Alright, so let's see. So I like this one. This is a nice quote. It said that in ancient Africa, there were occasions when a nation needed to execute one of its own, and they tasked the mother of the perpetrator with that deed of death dealing. It is in practices like these that the family's strength is realized. This is pretty important. I completely agree with the idea that we should look back into Africa to see how they offer solutions to certain issues. Because I mean, at the end of the day, say what you want about capitalism, for instance. The reality is that back in ancient Africa, we did do megalithic, large work, but it was technically a mixture of state and private and public, in the sense that you had the if you will, or some people call him Pharaoh, who had these gigantic tombs, that cost a lot of human labor or a lot of intellectual labor, in a sense, right? But they had these, so they were able to do these things, and of course it benefited. Not benefited, but of course it was it was like you know who received like you could see. In a sense, you could say it was private. In a sense, you could say it was public. You know, or actually, you probably only say it's private. But you could see the private ownership in the sense of, you know, here's the same private enterprise that's engaging with other countries, trading them gold, trading them lapis lazuli, trading them different resources. You know, and it's going through. But the difference being that these leaders in Africa, in ancient Africa, were taught to handle their leadership. You know, they went to the universities of Africa, in a sense, you know, as opposed to, you know, the leadership of today who might go through the universities of Europe, you know. But again, you know, the shortcoming returns to our own role, our own absence in providing the alternative leadership, the alternative universities, you know. And so, you know, yeah, the ancient Africans, like so the death penalty we see was a practice in Africa. You know, we can't just see the death penalty as something that Wazungu did, obviously, right? But the way how they went about with it was, you know, you might have the mother of that person have to do, like, you know, you have to do something so egregious that even your mother would say, yeah, okay, that's enough, you know. like clearly I made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, I mean, when I look back at this, I'm saying to myself, like, that's tough, you know? Like, don't nobody love you like your mother, you know? So, like, you really gotta F up for your mama to be like, yeah. Like you really gotta F up. There's, like, nobody who's ever gonna love you in your life like your mother. Yeah. I mean, technically, I don't even know how anybody could have even asked them to do that. But I mean, like, but that's another thing. It's like, you don't want to kill somebody else's child, you know? So it's really, you know, it's a really deep question, a really deep matter. Let me see what these what those brothers say in the Discord. Yeah,
I ain't saying nothing.
Shaking my head, yo. I tell you, man, people want like I don't understand the reasoning behind you know, wanting to engage and then just, you know, like when it's time to articulate yourself, you know, it's like, nah, I don't wanna, you know. But anyway, let's keep going. We can pretend to love ourselves, our children, our siblings, or our parents with acts that go against our race, but it's just pretend, you know? So I think that's a really important thing too, that we have to go for our race, and if we don't go for our, like the philosophy of our people should be race first, you know? And if you're not practicing race first, then you know, like claiming to love yourself and all that is just pretend, you know? But anyway, what's up though, bro? Oh, like I say, we are people at war, and it's the victories of that war which make my son my son. Yeah. So another thing is just, you know, like we have to understand that we're at war, and I think that was actually pretty interesting. So I mean, eventually I think we should. I mean, I think maybe later today, or even, you know, maybe I'll just read a few of these, and then I could cut the broadcast so we could actually talk about Dangote. But we should probably ask these people to show, like, somebody to show up and let me see. Let me see what time they can talk. So I think we should discuss that Dangote WikiLeaks. I think that was a pretty interesting thing to break down. You know? I think that was an interesting thing to break down because, you know, we have to, I think it ties into this, we're people at war, in the sense that this was the United States Department, you know? Department. And they are saying, you know what, Dangote is not good for us in the long run. You know? And I mean, allegedly they're also saying it's not good for Nigeria because they're saying that because they're into free enterprise. You know? They're into free enterprise, and what free enterprise or globalism, what globalism and free enterprise basically means is that the United States can just be in Nigeria and do whatever it wants. And Dangote is protecting against that. And so the US doesn't like him for that. And my thing is that if we're going to criticize people because the US doesn't like them, right? And then say that we're taking an African perspective, I think that's like a misspeaking. You know? You know what I mean? Like to me it's like, if the U.S. doesn't, I mean, it's not like the friends of my frenemies, you know, not the friends of my friends is my enemy. I'm not going to say something so simplistic. But the reality is that if the United States doesn't like you for your industrial practices, right, because your practices are like your practices are good for essentially you, who is also good for your government. Then like what's the problem?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm
here.
What do you say?
No, I'm saying I agree. I think, you kind of broke down the whole WikiLeaks thing. I think the report was from like 2005 or 2007. So we need something a little more up to date. Two, when I read that report, I thought originally before I read it, oh, this is going to be them saying, oh, Dangote is smuggling weapons, Dangote is destroying Nigeria. What it sounded like they said is just that the federal government is partnering with Dangote in order to monopolize key industries in the nation and prevent, and through that monopoly, that prevents United States multinationals from coming in and providing key services that they can't do. Right? And it even describes how he went from basic trading. Because remember, this is also something I have a problem with. If you read that report, they describe Dangote starting out as just a basic trader. And when I say basic, I mean, the act of trading itself is basic. To someone who is manufacturing. In fact, they said most Nigerians simply just trade. They don't produce / manufacture. But Dangote took it a step further and started manufacturing. So then I have to question, well, why didn't other people do it? Now, they'll say, well, he got favorable contracts, this and that. But again, this nation, it's not like people didn't exist before Dangote or after. And Dangote can't, he don't control everything in Nigeria. He's not God or nothing, right? So again, the question is, why aren't other people manufacturing, right? And then you have to go into drive, personality, all that other stuff that just saying capitalism just doesn't take into account. Like, Dangote just might be that man who's like, yo, I should just produce this shit. And no one else thought the same thing. So then, you feel me? It's like saying capitalism is just like, that's not capitalism, that's just being smart.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, like the reality is that there was already an economy, like you said. He was already doing the trade. He takes his surplus from the trading and he goes into another industry that white people were formerly controlling. And then he allows his nation to then have that control over that trade or that engage. Like that's called being, like you said, that's called being intelligent. That's called being entrepreneurial. And I mean, we should go back to Nyere, right? And Nyere is saying that, the difference between Africa and Europe, unfortunately, or Africa and America, was that realistically speaking, a lot of people in Africa were not entrepreneurial. Like, one of the big differences was that a lot of people in Africa were not entrepreneurial. I mean, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. They're like, oh no, we're entrepreneurial. We do a lot of trading, But yeah, you do a lot of trading, but you have to do as Dangote is doing and move above. Like there's this like basically in America, you learn a basic part of economics is to have vertical control or horizontal control, right? Or no, vertical ownership or horizontal ownership, and essentially, because if you're just on one part of it, you're gonna get screwed over. But what Dangote was doing is that he's doing what basic, like what you would expect some future billionaire to do in America. Like he's doing what you'd expect Ford to have, like what Ford did, or what Rockefeller did, or what Carnegie Mellon did.
Right.
And it's like,
right.
And it's like, yeah, a lot of people would critique those names and be like, oh, these people do blah 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 blah. But like, if you look at their individual stories, right, it's really a matter of getting into an industry and just acting intelligent about it. Like that's really what it is. And then, I mean, yeah, their descendants, and some people might say their descendants are this sort of so far are so influential. And it's like, well, yeah, when you have money, you do exercise a little bit more influence than other people. You know, and that's how it is. Like that's how it, like you know what I'm saying? They're like here's more influence than the beggar on the street. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you have money, yes, you do have more influence than the beggar on the street. You know what I mean? Like I have.
I mean, let's be honest. Like what? What are we talking about when we say like that's literally how it used to happen all the time?
Yeah, exactly. Like I have a friend who's in a polygamous country, like a country that's a polygamous, and like the guy who gets all the women is the guy with money. You know? Like all the women are going to the guy with money. Like the idea that, and now the guy without money might be like, this is unfair, and all that shit. But it's like, I'm gonna go with that cartoon said was like fears are for tourists. You know what I'm saying? like ain't nobody really paying fares unless you're a tourist. You know what I'm saying? like the reality is that no, I expect somebody who's a billionaire to have more influence than the common everyday person who is, just shuffling his feet every day. You know what I mean? Like the dude who's like I think you said he's building factories and foundries and he's providing, let's say what percent, like a certain percentage of the national budget is coming from taxes to this dude. Okay? Like a certain percentage. So he has some meaningful, like he does have a louder voice than the guy who has been shiftless and doing nothing, who sits in the bar all day. You know what I mean? Who sits in the bar all day and the trouble with us as a people is that we kind of like just leave reality. We leave reality and we say something is unfair when it's just something that's completely normal. It's just completely normal. Now, I mean, of course, I'm willing to. Now, me, I'm keeping an open mind. I keep an open mind, but I'm willing to hear people articulate otherwise, because like you said, there are certain things that people are saying that sounds kind of like, wait a second, you doing all that, but if the evidence isn't there, the evidence, like I can't necessarily say, yeah, you're right, he's he's no good, the guy I saw the guy took a poop on the moon, I mean, I don't know, unless you show me him on the moon wiping his ass, or something. Like I'm not gonna take your word that he take a shit on the moon. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he did that, I might be like shit. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, dang, that motherfucker's like a cold ass villain. But if I don't see that shit, literally, right? Then I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm not saying because they're making it seem like I'm just sticking up for Dangote when all I did was literally post that the urea factory is complete. Urea is the main input for fertilizer. So when you understand that part of what's going to help your everyday person, which a lot of us in Africa are rural, is through mass agriculture. It can also help feed everyone. We can sell that agriculture. Now, big capital can't take over agriculture in Africa. It's just too big. They don't know what the hell they're doing. It's impossible for it. So you're going to need your small scale farmers. I mean, look at Ghana. All these multinational corporations, they can't farm it. It takes the everyday farmer, right, to do that. So when you're able to provide them all this fertilizer, all these inputs, all this equipment so they can keep producing more food and agribusiness stuff, I'm just saying, like, how is that a negative for anyone? Now, if you're saying that, well, he has a monopoly on the production of fertilizer, okay, we can talk about that and we can figure out better ways, but to say that someone building a factory to make fertilizer when there was none before is a bad thing, and they're using, money that, it's not like his money is outside of the continent. His money is literally in the continent. So I'm saying that, we gotta be careful when we just say things. It's not like France taking out $500 billion. I mean, his money literally flows through the nation. So I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is this. I want to say this. I want to highlight what you're saying too. The trouble is this, that, you hear people, they say, the trouble is that Monsanto is doing all this stuff, and they're forcing black people to use these fertilizers and blah blah blah. Right? They complain about Monsanto. Then finally, they're like, well, we need is we should have our own fertilizer, right? And so somebody like Dangote comes along and says, here, we have our own fertilizer. Man, you ain't shit. Why the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like what? What is the solution then? If not for black folk to go into the replace the multinationals that are harming our people. We complain about these multinationals and their poor ethics and their poor whatever, but then when a black person comes along, we complain about them even more. We go, and the thing is that I cannot stress enough how much we go to our enemies to try to dig up dirt on our own people. Because I'm like, look, if you have this African perspective on the ground and all that stuff, then you should be able to provide resources and evidence from that. If you pulling up the U.S. State Department, the U.S. State Department, the literal feds, and it's like the people who have like the gun sights on this dude, right? The people who are trying to probably put out some stuff in order for them to justify assassinating him or justify imprisoning him, right? Their whole modus operandi is to destroy black folk. If that's your resource for evidence, right? That clearly something's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like clearly. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you were like if I was trying to get with a woman, and then she decided to go to it's like if I was trying to get a mistress. Like let's say I'm married, I'm trying to get a mistress. The last person I'm gonna bring as evidence of my good character is my current wife. If I was married, you know what I'm saying? Like why you like the one person who's gonna be most against you having a relationship? Like the one person who's gonna be most against you is gonna be your wife. So why in the world would I? Like America's gonna hate on the black man who's doing like America doesn't like protectionism. Period. America has invaded nations for protectionism. Okay?
Right.
Or nationalization. That's like like a lot of those invasions in Southern America had to do with these nations nationalizing their resources, right? So if Dangote is doing the same exact thing, of course America's not going to like them. And if that's your evidence for this guy's not to be trusted, then sorry, you drinking the Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? You're drinking the Kool-Aid.
And I'll put it another way. If you look at the EFF and their land question, right? So you have the EFF that says no, the state should take control of the land, and through that we should let people, basically apply for the reason why they want to use the land. So I want to be able to mine this. I want this agriculture. I want this. I want that. And their reason for saying that is really interesting. They're saying that if we just take the land from the white folks and just give it back to everyone, the white people will get it back in a couple years. Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting perspective. And I agree with them. And the reason I agree with them is that if you actually look at the average person or your everyday person, if they get that land back and a white man is like, I'll give you 90,000 rand, I'll give you 100,000 or 1,000,000 rand for that land, they'll sell it right back and the white man will get the land back. So you have to be able to educate people on the reason why they shouldn't just sell the land outright. First. Two, you have to provide the infrastructure in order to hold the land until your people are ready for it. Our people might not necessarily be ready for a whole decentralized economy. I'm just being honest. Like, do you think that if Dangote didn't have that refinery, would you trust your everyday person to manufacture refined oil in Nigeria? Fuck no. What the hell? You're crazy.
Yo, bro, they don't even trust Dangote. You know what I'm saying? They don't even trust Dangote, but they're going to trust the everyday man. Come on. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, the everyday man has no knowledge of how to do that at all. I know that for a fact. Or else it would have happened already.
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly the thing. It's like we have to understand, like there are levels to economic, and economy, and the trouble with, like I said, the trouble with the bottoms up philosophy is that it doesn't make any real sense. It's just this socialist utopic, nonsense. And the fact that we don't see it, like, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, let's go to this. We're gonna go to the next quote, which is: "Say what you must about people. Each is a nation. The strongest exercise the strongest forms of self-government. The weakest, the weaker. And whatever foreigners hope to... No, sorry, the weakest, the weaker. Okay. And whatever foreigners hope to accomplish in villainy differs greatly in a structured state or an anarchist state." So actually, this is actually pretty much on that same point. So let's say this. It says, "Say what you want about people. A people. Right? Each people is a nation. Right? And the strongest people exercise the stronger forms of government, of self-government, right? And the weakest practice the weakest forms of self-government, right? And so whatever foreigners hope to accomplish in villainy differs greatly in a structured state or an anarchist state, And it goes to the point of you were saying about EFF, in the sense that the EFF sees that if you have an anarchist state, if you do not have a structured state, right, then foreigners can come through and do whatever they want in that society, in that community. In the sense that they can, like you said, offer 100,000 rand for your land. And when they do that, you forfeit everything. And so it becomes that eventually, you fall back into the same exact predicament that you were in before, except for now the state lost its license. Like if the state takes the land from white folk, right, and then hands it to these black folk, and these black folk sell it back to the white folk, right? Then the state can't again take away the land.
Exactly. You lost completely.
You know what I mean? So if you're trying to guarantee your victory, you have to go through with a different situation, a different system. And see, this is why I say that it's very important for us, because see, when people type out this stuff, right? It's easy to do the straw man, but you have to be able to challenge somebody and say, how can you guarantee that foreigners cannot get land? If you give people land, how can you guarantee that people cannot sell it back to foreigners? And you can't. If it's their land. But if you say it's the state land, you say it's like if I give, it's like, for instance, if I give my child, $1 or whatever, right? Sure, as my child, I could probably say, look, don't spend it on any candy. But you know damn well that if I just leave this kid alone with $1, he might just get some candy. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't no, like if it's his money, he go, look, that's the reality, man. That's
not if you raise him right.
Huh?
Not if you raise him right.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's if I raise him right. But you got to see with regards to, South Africa. These people, a lot of people in South Africa ain't being raised right. No disrespect to South. I mean, matter of fact, I'm not even gonna say no disrespect to South Africa. They know. You know what I'm saying? like they know, huh?
That's why you said it.
They know. You know what I'm saying?
No disrespect.
You said fact? Nah, I mean,
no disrespect.
Yeah, no disrespect. Look. I don't know what happened to your mic, man, but yeah, like the reality is that like in South Africa, what they talking about right now is rampant sexual abuse, like rampant sexual abuse of women. Like it's crazy. You know what I mean? So it's they know damn well that it ain't right. You know what I mean? And of course, what is Show? Can you hear him or no?
It's kind of breaking up.
Yeah. Sometimes I be calling him out about that. He's like, nah, it ain't me. But it's you, man. Yeah. It's terrible down there. Hold on a second. Go wash your hands. Alright. Anyway, so
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the whole point. It's like if you raise a kid right, that's one thing. If you don't raise a kid right, then yeah, they're gonna be buying a bunch of dumb shit, and I mean that's exactly what you expect. Like for instance, when it comes to the PS5, like a new PlayStation system is coming out, right? And there's a lot of people who will do stuff. In fact, just like in America, in South Africa, there were dudes. Well, I don't know if it was even in America, to be honest, but in South Africa, there were dudes dancing. Like dancing on camera, like twerking, like women, like dancing. I mean, I didn't see the video, but I mean, I heard that they were dancing women.
You're giving us all the details.
Nah, there was a lot of dialogue around it because they was like, "Dang, these women did these dudes dirty," but they was dancing and twerking for the PS5.
So, damn.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
that's how you know they got no money.
I mean, it's shit.
You got dance.
I mean, like, yo, they just like my thing is this, that like
you that desperate for it, bro.
That's what I'm saying. If you that desperate that you gonna dance for it, of course you gonna sell the fucking land, man. Please. White boy come out with another PlayStation system, you gonna sell that land? Cause like how much is $500? I think the PS5 is $500, right? I don't know actually. They didn't come out with
two versions, the digital and then the one with disc.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they came up with the price yet. But how much? How much is it?
No, to pre-order. You're pretty sure you have to know the price. I think the price is like $4.99.
Okay, $500. Let's see how much $500 is in rand. You know, so $500.
I know 100,000 rand is about $6,000. So just do the ratio.
Oh, $6,000. Okay, yeah. So 8,000 rand. Yeah, I mean, so if they twerking for 8,000 or 9,000 rand, right? Then of course, if a white boy comes up and says, "Hey, I can buy that land for $90,000," you know what I mean? And they twerking for rand, you know? Like most people ain't trying to be agriculturalists anyway. You know? I mean, if you twerking for the PS5, you probably don't want to be no farmer. Real talk, you know? Anyway, so that's what I was saying. Like in regards to that, like yeah. I mean, I could totally see why the EFF is why the EFF would say that, and I totally agree in a sense. Well, as far as what Show said. Anyway, let me see what the next one is.
Just 1 second. I would say, just to reiterate your point, if we're talking about ancient Africa, when you talk about making steel, carbon steel, all these megalithic projects in our traditional mode of production, you know, we were educated for generations to get to that point. We didn't just start out giving the random person, here's the iron furnace, go make steel. You had to, you feel me? Like, we're not at the level where the masses of people can direct a nation. I don't think we're at that level yet.
No, we're definitely not. The thing is that you go to
How are you going to direct the nation?
What do you say?
How are you going to direct the nation? They won't allow you to do that.
Who won't allow you?
White supremacy. Can't even keep a straight face, my bad.
What do you say? No, but I think on that white supremacy tip, though, real talk, we gotta do on that. Like, if white supremacy were all this omnipotent and all that, why allow Gangote? Because you said the article's from 2007, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the article from 2007, 13 years later, and the dude is doing even bigger and broader stuff.
Got more for it, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He get more. And
because they allowed it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, look, somebody was like, you know, white supremacy. Look how white supremacy did Gaddafi, right? And I'm like, okay. And for a long time, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot. I'm like, yeah, that's a fair point. How long was Gaddafi in power? 35 fucking years. Yo, longer than we've been on Earth. This dude been in power. And we saying that white supremacy won't allow nobody to do nothing. White supremacy would show you in Libya. Like, if I had 30-something years, I don't even know if I have 30-something years.
It's because it's global. It's a global system.
You know what I'm saying?
Discrimination.
Yo, if I'm saying to myself, I don't even know if I have 30 more years. But if the white man ain't gonna fight me for another 30 damn years, then shit. You know what I'm saying? That ain't no discouragement for me. You get a lot done in 30 years, man. Like shit. Like this dude, you know, they're, oh man, white supremacy is so powerful. Look how they did it. Look how they did Libya. You know, the brother was telling that, and I'm not saying that white folk don't do shit. But you see them whining like a little bitch in that article from 2007, and they still probably whining. Huh? Yeah, in the article.
They all cold.
Yo, get the yo, situation started. Is that you? Situation started. Yeah, they all cold, man. I'm telling you though, man. But yeah, all right. Let me. Oh, Michelle, you have something else to say?
Nah, I'm good.
Oh yeah. All right. That's what I'm saying about that. I'm not sure I was gonna say something, so I just like that's what I'm saying about that. About you said, yeah. I mean, it's false. Like the only time I could say. The only occasion in Africa I could say where it's like popular leadership, you know, like I don't know of any example in Africa where there's leadership of the masses, but I could say that there was the age grade system, you know, where a certain age grade would be the leadership in a sense, you know, but that again, you know, when it came to the age grade thing, that would be more of a gerontocracy, you know, and again, it doesn't necessarily translate into, you know, the same mass level of industrialization that we would hope to have. Because at the end of the day, you know, the reality is that, you know, America's going to be looking at everybody in Africa, you know, but so is Russia, so is China. All these countries, every country is supposed to be looking at every other country. You know, Nigeria should have a profile on every single major American, you know, business person or personnel. You know what I mean? It should have a profile on, like that's what intelligence gathering is about. You know, and the thing is that we shouldn't be relying on the enemy's profiles, because that's just plain stupid, in my opinion. You know, you know, like for instance, you know, the State Department. Like I can pull up the U.S. State Department's public website and show you what it says about different African countries. You know, oh, it's not safe. It's this, it's that. You know, don't even go here. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't even go here. Try Europe. You know, try Scotland. Those are better. You know what I'm saying? But like, you can pull it up. Like it's public information. Like, but the reality is that it's good that the U.S. even has something that it could tell its own citizens. You know, it could sell its own intelligence agencies. You know, but that's what we're supposed to have.
On code.
Well, I mean, I can't front with that. They probably all.
That one actually just sounds like it kind of works.
Yeah, I mean, shit, you know what I mean? Nah. But let's see. All right, so let's go to the next one. It says the scourge of the black race has long been its lack of intelligent leadership and self-government. But when there are kingdoms and nations of African design, we see Africans commanding power where others are powerless. You know? Yeah, at the end of the day, we have to go about with intelligent leadership and self-government, and unfortunately, like you know, the problem is that we tend to, and this is something that's rampant in the conscious community, right? Where we tend to just name call, you know what I mean? We just tend to name call and say, you know, or even say, oh, but you're not on code and these people are on code, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, you know, like you said, other people are legit, not just like. I think you know, I think we could, you know, especially since outside of you guys ain't nobody really on the broadcast. I think sooner than later we could actually just open up this Dangote question, you know, because that WikiLeaks.
I was about to say, where's Udoka at? I thought that's what you guys were going to discuss. That's why I came in late.
Yeah, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Like Udoka, you know. Unfortunately, I mean, I understand it too. Like, if I were in, like, if the rumors are true about this guy, you know, I probably wouldn't go on no broadcast and be in the same country as him. You know what I'm saying? Like if the rumors are true.
What, you think you gonna send them boys after?
I mean, look, man, the way how he sounded like he shook, man. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I don't blame him, cause like my thing is that. Like, I try, like, for instance, in my book, I didn't even, by the way, everybody bought it? No, I'm joking. But in my book, I try very hard not to talk about the dictators too negatively, just in case I'm in that country. Because the reality is that Dangote...
You can talk about all you want, bro. I don't want to read that. You ain't got nothing to worry about.
Nah, look, man, people in power, like, the thing I notice about our people is that we tend to bring to attention information to other people, you know. So like, if a white person and a black person get into a scuffle, somebody would tag Tariq Nasheed, you know, and bring, or even more popularly, you would find like if the police do something negative and if somebody just to a story, somebody would tag Sean King. You know what I mean? So like people bring things to people's attention. So if for instance I were talking crap about Kagame in my book, and I wasn't, but if I were, and I was talking crap about Kagame in my book, Kagame's not going to read my book, obviously. And most people are not going to read it. That's facts, right? All right, but look,
that's a clear fact.
The point is this: that if somebody reads it and remembers it, and then they say, and then they just bring it out, they out you. They'd be like, oh, and it could be something immature. Like that's what Aiden did the other day when I was doing my Pan-African thing. He was like, oh, why did you say that Dr. King is, why do you say you like Dr. King, or compared to Malcolm, right? And I was like, what the, like that's what people would do. Like he was doing it innocent. He's a little kid. He probably don't know better. But
what are you talking about?
I said Aiden. Remember Aiden?
Aiden. I know you said Amos. I said, what are you talking about? That man talking to you beyond the grave? What's going on?
Yeah, maybe. All right. Anyway, but like, not gonna front. Like I woke up to some, all right. Anyway, but like, like that's what I'm saying. Like people tend to do that kind of stuff. So. It's best to be careful than whatever, because like you could have like you said, you can have a private conversation, blah blah blah, and then somebody plays that back to the people involved, or somebody talks about it, and then that conversation goes and it just finds its way to the people involved, and a lot of times that happens.
Not on code.
Not on code. That's what I'm saying. That's why you gotta like if this guy is as you may believe, then yeah, I probably wouldn't talk about him neither. Like I said, you know what I mean? Cause like if you go in there, because the thing is this, like real talk, he might be lined up. He might be lining himself up to be in the government. You know what I mean? And have the government apparatus.
Well, I mean, with the way the Nigerian government is, I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what I'm saying.
Easily do that.
I don't. That's the way any government is. You know what I mean? Because like, look who's the freaking president of the United States right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he trolled his way into that, but he didn't even know he was gonna get there.
Well, like Bloomberg almost got there too. You know what I'm saying? Like Bloomberg almost got there. Like the reality is that if you wealthy,
almost is getting to the as being a candidate, I guess. But okay.
I mean, look, the thing is that but I'm saying like there was some resistance.
I put my name on the ballot. So I almost became president. I was on the ballot.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, like. What I'm saying is he could line himself up, because that's what I think we should be doing per se. Is that you have some sort of
names on the ballot.
You have some economic influence, and then you eventually do get more political influence. And if you get enough political influence, you might just end up on the ballot someday. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm just talking about like you walking in the booth and you just fill in your name type mess.
Bloomberg was like a legit candidate, my dude.
Okay, but you're saying like he was almost to that position. Like, bro, it was just another.
Wasn't he like the runner-up behind?
Team of candidates out.
He was like the runner-up behind Biden, my dude. He was like the runner-up behind Biden, wasn't he?
No, what are you talking about? Not Bloomberg.
He wasn't?
Nah, bro. It was Warren and Bernie. Bloomberg dropped out even before that.
Oh, yeah.
I think he dropped out even before March, yeah.
Wait, did he come in later? I don't remember. I thought he came in late.
And dropped out early.
But I mean, look, like Romney. I mean, it's like in America it's a little harder.
Yeah,
but like
Biden actually started in late, so
yeah. In America,
he had the I guess the what's the word? He had the leverage enough to start late when he wanted to.
Yeah, so. But I was saying like when it comes to America, right? Like they started off like you got to look at America's beginning to like kind of see what's going around the world. And like in the beginning of America, you had to be a landowner to even vote. You know what I mean? And so like the reality is that like this is the way of the world where if you have something, like if you have a stake in the country, then you probably would have a bigger voice than other people who don't. You know what I mean? Because like how you vote when you have a stake is different from how you like your opinion on the country when you have a stake versus your opinion when you don't is totally different. So Dangote could
just
easily,
like if you have money, you tend to a lot of times once you you may initially be like a Democrat in your younger years, but once you gain capital or wealth, you take your I guess your beliefs or your wealth preservation lies more with Republican ideology.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the Republicans say. I feel like.
But you see many people that could have been initially Democrat until they gain enough wealth, and then for wealth preservation reasons, they align themselves with Republican policies to maintain their wealth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's because I feel like the Democrats and the Republicans both are. I mean, I think if you only look at it from an individual perspective, from a
sure,
like Republicans have a better policy economically from a very individualistic perspective, in the sense of it's just lower taxes and less government. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about,
which I guess in theory for them helps stimulate more well,
they're not interested in stimulating. They're not interested in stimulating. The reality is this, right? If you got lower taxes, that means more money in your pocket. And if you're making money to make money, right? You know what I'm saying? If you just want to make money,
that's what I'm saying. It stimulates the concept of capitalism to them.
Yeah, I mean,
to make more money.
Yeah, it stimulates. I feel like I thought you were gonna say it stimulates the economy.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah. But the Democrats have a good economic policy too, in the sense of they're saying, you know, more public education, you know, bigger, like you do a little bit more taxes. Yeah, like a little more taxes, and then you have more for the people, you know, underneath, and then what the people underneath get then is that they now have access to like a larger labor force, you know,
and then more innovation just helps stimulate
exactly.
the entire
So I
society.
mean, like I feel like it's really a matter of, do you just want to go on vacations, or do you want to live in a decent society? You know what I mean? Like and that's like, yeah, a lot of people want to go on vacations. So I'm not gonna front. You know what I mean? Like I mean, I don't blame them. You know what I mean? Like I actually.
You know what you were trying to do.
I don't know what that means, man, but
you kept complaining about how Trump messed up your trip.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like that's what I'm saying. If you wanna just, cause I'm saying when I went to Jamaica, man, you know, I sat on a porch, you know, and I mean like that's just
the beach.
Yeah, it's just like chill, man. You know, like. It ain't like the city. It ain't like, you know, talking to a bunch of people ratting on you, talking about white supremacy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
On the corner of a bodega or something.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like you could just chill. You don't even need the electronic devices. You don't need your phone. You could just chill. And then people walk around and, you know, like you could people watch and shit. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty alright. But yeah. So I mean, like, I feel like, yeah, the Democrats, I mean, there are people who say I once was a Democrat, now I'm a Republican, and people say I once was a Republican, now I'm a Democrat, you know? And even with the wealth thing, it's just a matter of, you know, like, at the end of the day, government's about population control. You know what I mean? And it's just a matter of, do you care about the population or not? You know, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't care about the population, and I feel like some of them see something, like some have some self-interest in a good population.
You can low-key attribute that to this, I guess, if you're speaking anthropologically, like, it's a European mindset in general.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like Europeans have certain mindsets, and I mean, I'm like for what it's worth, there's also there's some variability. I would say, you know, there's some variability.
Of course, there's no. I don't say there's no universal truths, but not everything is that universal where it's like that.
Yeah. All right. So let me see. I think we just do one more and then we can jump to the. We can close this one and then. Well, let's see. Somebody call out Aframac so that we could have at least one person on this Dangote thing. You know? Hold on a second. I don't know why.
What's necessarily the topic? Cause I don't know. All I saw was like 100+ messages, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna read them. So,
nah, I think what we can do is we can go over this WikiLeaks, because the WikiLeaks was actually pretty damn interesting.
Oh, WikiLeaks?
Yeah. I know they have this dude put out a whole WikiLeaks of the U.S. like a U.S. leak, and it's like, damn, isn't this illegal?
I was like, can you put that on Discord? Like, what's up?
I was like, yo, I mean, like, shit, you know, and I don't know. Wait, should I even put it on YouTube though? That's one thing. I'm like wondering. One of the states not going.
I don't even know, man.
The state's not going to knock on my wall. You know what I could do? No, what do you think though? Give me some real advice right now.
About what?
About whether I should put this WikiLeaks on YouTube, man.
Man, I don't know. Honestly, like next day they gonna block access to your account. The little followers you done gained.
I'm saying, right? all two.
You were this close to getting monetized too.
I'm saying, right? All 2 followers is gone, man. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but my thing is that people talk about WikiLeaks all the time on the YouTube. At least I think they did. I never saw any videos of them.
Well, remember they tell all them conspiracy people like InfoWars and all them other stuff videos. They took them off, but I don't know.
They took them down?
Yeah, I think they took them down a while ago. But again, are they gonna try to target you? I doubt it.
So
all they gotta do is look at your view count like you need threat.
Exactly. I'm joking. Alright, so I'll just do the last one, I guess. The African needs his own nation. He needs to exercise self-government. His men need to be protectors. His women need to be healers. He needs to be a hunter. He needs to be melanin. The Maa nation follows nature. There's nothing to doubt in nature. So I think this is really important. Like, nature is the end. Nature is the end all truth. Okay? Like the brother was saying, there's no use to truth. But I would say that nature is the closest thing we have to truth. Like, nature tells you things are cyclical. Nature tells you things changes. Nature tells you that, because when I say he needs to be melanin, you got to understand that what melanin does in your body is it does protect and heal you. You know what I mean? And it also goes against,
UV rays, sure.
Yeah, exactly. It heals you from UV rays too. Or damages and all that. Like there's a lot that goes on internally. Like you're like for instance, the other day I actually got I'm telling you, the human body is probably one of the most interesting machines out there, if you will. If you call it a machine, if you want. But the human body, like I got this bruise, I guess, just randomly don't want to talk about it. Anyway, but I got this bruise and like my skin got a little swollen there and like dark black, and then like I'm just wondering like do I gotta like my finger? I just cut off my finger or some shit. You know what I'm saying? like
you got a scab.
I don't know, man. Look, I don't think so. I don't know. But what happened was, like it was like dark black, like pitch black.
Was it? It's probably a scab from the blood clotting, so that you won't bleed anymore, and that's so microbes don't enter your bloodstream.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like your body protects. That's what I'm saying. And your body. So what happens eventually? Right. I'm showering, and then the same part of my skin just gets like a little bit more swollen, a little puffed up, and then you could just take it off. You could literally.
That's called a scab. That's literally called a scab.
Bruh. Okay, I'm not going around. I'm not. Getting injured and stabbed like you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not breaking girls' hearts like you do, man. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, this is like basic human anatomy.
Yeah. Basic human anatomy in university, right?
Okay, my bad. I forgot. My bad.
You know what I'm saying? This dude, like he know went to grad program. he learned all the deep shit in the human anatomy, like everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
I was a pre-med major, bro.
He's like this is basic. This is basic bioengineering 801. Like, dude, nobody took 801. That was a 4th level course. Like if you talk about 101, that's different. But you talk about 801,
nah. Grad level course.
I'm not about grad. I'm talking about extra credit, because you wanted to take a little deep. No, I ain't nobody know that shit.
Taking elective.
The whole elective on human anatomy. No, I don't know if that's what you call it, but sure, a scab. Sure, it's a scab. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so I got the scab, and like I said, you could just peel off the skin. And the point is that the human body, unlike these machines and all that, like these robots, these things that people make, is that they can't heal themselves. They can't recover themselves like we can, or not just the human body, obviously, but like anybody.
What do you mean?
I mean, like I legit now have a whole new set of skin, Like it's self-repairing.
Like
it's
you said, the
self-repairing.
human body can't repair itself. Like, what are you talking about?
No, I'm saying it can, as opposed to
okay.
like the machineries of the world. Like for instance, my computer effed up, and then I was just like, I had to just reset it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just gotta be like, okay, wipe everything. You know, it's not going to just say, you know what? I mean, sometimes computers try, but they're not as good as the human body.
I mean, if something happened, like it may troubleshoot, but even then,
yeah, exactly.
It needs outside intervention. So.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but all right, whatever. We're gonna wait. Why these brothers ain't here though? That's my question.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm over there. I need to leave.
Why you always? No, I'm saying why these brothers ain't here. Like
I know, but I'm saying I feel like I'm the one that always be having to show up. So you don't be talking to yourself for like 3 hours.
Let me see. Let me see how much time I got left. Oh, you're right. I got 2 more hours. Hold on a second. No, I'm joking. All right, whatever. We're gonna go over this WikiLeaks.
Well, who are you looking for? I'm looking at this.
Oh, Aframac and Dangote. Aframac don't want to show up for some reason. I mean, sorry, not Dangote. Udoka. I understand Udoka not showing up because he like in Nigeria. You know, and it's like
Dude in the north. I don't know what he's doing in the north right now. I really don't know what he's doing up there.
Why? What's wrong with the North?
Right. Boko Haram.
Oh.
Like literally, that's the North. And like, if you're not House of Fulani, like to me, there's no reason why you should be up there at all.
Wait, where's Dangote? Dangote's in the North too, right?
I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure he's not in the North. I mean, if he was, he got a whole entourage with him.
Wait, well, what's Kano?
He's straight.
Where's Kano State? Where's that?
Kano's North.
North? Oh, that's where he's from.
Oh, well.
Shit. Uh-oh. Now there might be some legitimacy.
Now I see why he don't want to. It makes sense.
Yeah, wait, I think Dangote from the North, right? He's from Kano State. That's what they said.
Yeah. Kano?
Oh, Kano, yeah, Kano, Nigeria. That's where he was born.
Oh, wow.
That's where his family's in.
Wait a minute. Maybe we look at something there now. He got something he's trying to say. I think I low-key might believe him.
Wait, hold on a second. Is Boko Haram in Kano?
Huh? It's in the north.
Well, is it in Kano?
Probably, but I'm not like I'm that versed into it, but I do know the north is. I know Florida. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And he said something about weapons month. I guess. Look, I wouldn't talk about that shit neither, man. I wouldn't talk about that shit neither, man.
That's like you in China. You talking about the president of China? Then you end up in jail for like 30 years.
Wait a second. Who was the president of China?
What's that dude? I don't know.
No.
Something Xi Jinping.
No. Who was the president of China?
Isn't that dude Xi Jinping? Something like that.
Who is the president of China?
I just told you, Xi Jinping.
I'm joking. Not the joke.
Damn.
Once upon a time.
Said 3 times.
No, once upon a time, the president of China was named Hu, and so the joke was.
Oh, okay.
So the joke is who is the president of China?
Remember, I'm from the 21st century, so.
You ain't from the 21st century, you dick. You from 20th century. Don't bullshit me. Alright, whatever. Alright, family. So we gonna cut this broadcast and we're gonna try to do the next one, I guess. We're gonna read through the WikiLeaks, I guess. That's I mean, if y'all safe with it. Let me just cut this broadcast. So I'm gonna tell everybody thanks for joining, thanks for talking. If you want to join the broadcast next one, just come through the Discord, drop some more likes if you can, and otherwise I'm gonna end this stream. Shami, I'm Hotep. Alright, let me set up a new stream. Dang, yo.